feel free to put questions in the chat. If you could monitor the chat for me, that would be great.
Okay.
But I'll stop during certain portions of the presentation, and I'll take questions. You can
Okay.
raise your hand, and then you just call on your team as whoever has their hand raised at that point.
Okay.
And the reason I do it that way is because I may answer your question, and you don't need to raise your hand to ask it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll stop at particular points.
Okay.
Through a lot of the presentation, I've done dozens of these already. For the last 2 weeks, I've been doing them, and a lot of the questions that are asked, I find that a lot of them are the same. I'm going to bring it up in the presentation before,
Okay.
just trying to head off questions that don't need to be asked. And so I just literally came out of one half hour ago. That was a pretty long one, but that had like 80 people in it.
Oh my. Well, I've got 6:01, so we'll get started. My name is Dave Tolander. I'm the Region Specialty Vehicle Lead for Nebraska, Iowa. And tonight we're going to go over the Verizon work plan. John Vicente from National Headquarters, his Manager of Logistics, Operations and Fleet, is going to explain why we're doing it and show us how to use the app. So with that, you can take it away, John.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you, and thank you for inviting me to tonight. Some of my team members may actually pop on here or pop out of here. And if you see them around, feel free to ask any of them a question. We're going to get started, jump right in. I'm going to go right to the first slide. We're going to talk a little bit about why we have this process now, what this is all about, and why all of a sudden it's a quick push. So about 65 days ago, we were tasked with better tracking utilization of the specialty vehicles, and having an official start date so that Brad Kaiserman can get a report on every region's utilization rate from September 1st to September 1st. So as you can see, we're on a tight schedule, and we had to figure out, how do we do this? How do we make this happen? And we came together as a team, and we looked at many different options. And the simplest, most straightforward option was, we already have a tracker on the vehicle, right? It's following the mileage. Why can't we just put a notch in that mileage timeline and say, okay, the vehicle's going out at this time to do this, the vehicle's going out at this time to do this, right? Makes sense. And then we got into Verizon and realized it can do a lot more than what we were looking to do. And we decided to actually bring the entire inspection process up to the 21st century. Okay. We could actually put all the 6395 inspections right into this whole process. So not only can we track what the vehicle's being used for, we can have the inspections on there. We can send out emails when somebody takes the vehicle without signing it out or inspecting it. And those email notifications are going to go to the RDO, the regional lead, the division, and national headquarters, letting everybody know that a specialty vehicle was taken without being signed out or pre-use inspection done on it, which is awesome, right? So now there's a really big part. So that's how we got to where we are today, which is the actual tool that we're going to introduce to you and the process to do all of this. And I know it seems like everything went fast, but we had to sign a new agreement and contract with Verizon, and most of this stuff was already in there. We just weren't utilizing it because we didn't even know we had it available to us. And now we do. So that's our overview, and our purpose is to make sure that we educate the regions, how on both steady state and operational state that the vehicle will be signed out and how it'll be inspected. And that's where we are. So let's just jump right into it. So this QR code that you see on the screen. It's the actual sticker that was sent to every region to be placed on every specialty vehicle. One sticker, the primary sticker, is to go on the driver's side door, about 1 inch above and centered on the driver's handle that opens the door. On MIRVs, it needs to be a little bit lower and a little bit to the right so it doesn't go around the curve. It should not be on the glass. Brand Central approved that location, and that should be in that location on every single specialty vehicle we have across the country. We did provide a second sticker that you can put inside the vehicle. We're not so concerned where inside, as long as it's not blocking any vision. We did give guidance that you can put it, below the radio, to the left side of the radio, wherever you can find a flat space that you can clean pretty good. And not clean it with Armor All, but clean it maybe with like an alcohol pad or something, and then put the sticker in that spot. And it's just a second reminder. But as long as we have the main one on the door, that's the primary purpose. This QR code, if you scan it, you can scan it right now with your phones that you have on you. It does not matter whether you have an Android or an Apple, it will download the correct one to your phone, the correct application to your phone. And that's it. Once you download it, you don't need to use the QR code again. You can just open the app in your phone anytime you need to go take out a specialty vehicle, and just open the app and fill it out, right? So once you download it, you're good. If you happen to scan it again, it's going to be a notification. Hey, here you already have here. Click here to open, right? So you just go ahead and open the app, and that's it. So that's the really cool part about it. So once it's downloaded, you already have it. So we just talked about how to download it. How do you get into it? So the username is going to be Red Cross : and the specialty vehicle number that's on the front. That's the element number. And there is no spaces. It doesn't matter if it's capitals. If you want to get fancy at Red Cross and put small r, capital E, small d, capital C, small r, capital O, or you want it all capitals, or you want red in capitals and cross in lowercase, it doesn't matter. As long as there's no spaces, it's a colon, which is the two dots, and it's the element number. And the element number should be that number that's right above the driver's head on the left side front of the vehicle, or on the driver's side above the door, or on a MIRV, it could be on the fender. But that's the element number. It should be the element number on every specialty vehicle that's out there. It should be in a very similar spot to where I just said, and that's the number that you will use to sign into this. That number, that vehicle number, for that vehicle that you're signing into, is your username for that instance that you're signing into that vehicle. The password is going to be the specialty vehicle fuel pin number. All right. That fuel pin shouldn't be located inside the vehicle. It should be maybe in your phone, in your head. You should have it. If you look at it and you think about it, it looks just like a birth date, right? So that specialty vehicle fuel pin number will never change. It's going to stay the same. It's not something we just hand out to anybody, and there's a reason that we don't do that, right? Because who's paying for the fuel in that vehicle? National's paying for the fuel in that vehicle. You're using the vehicle, and we're giving you permission now to use it for more and more stuff, but National is paying that fuel bill, okay? So use it, but be smart about it. Don't use it for anything that's not a specialty vehicle. Don't give it out to anybody else so they can use it. It should never be used for anything except the specialty vehicle, okay? When you use your phone, you're going to need to log in. You're going to need to have location services on, Bluetooth on, and notifications on. That's very important, because just like if you log into a Bluetooth speaker where you got to put a username and a password, and then you have to correct a PIN, when you log into the specialty vehicle the way I'm telling you to, you're saying, hey, module, here's your username and password. Let me log in, right? And you're logging in, and that module knows that you're close because the Bluetooth is now connected and transmitting to that module. Okay, it doesn't cost any of your phone data to transmit on Bluetooth, just so everybody's aware of that. That's free. You can have no phone service and still transmit Bluetooth. So that doesn't cost any money. Notifications is important. You got notifications on, because God forbid that specialty vehicle has a major write-up on it. You want to know about it, right? And then location services. Yes, it's going to use your location while you're logged into the app. It needs full access to location services. When you log out of the app, you no longer will be using location services with that app, but you must have full access to that for that app to work. And the reason being is because when you do that inspection and you're walking around the vehicle and checking stuff, guess what? It's following your GPS. It knows that the vehicle's 20 feet long. It knows if you walked around it, and then it gives a probability to us if you actually completed that inspection or not. It knows how long an inspection takes. If you just whip down the list and mark yes on everything, it knows that you didn't actually do the inspection. Okay. So it's a pretty smart app and it's going to give us a lot of good detail. And I'm not telling you this to scare you. I want you to understand how it works and that it's there to help us and to make sure that you know the utilization rate in your region doesn't drop. So the big part of this, why are they doing this? They're looking to see what regions are utilizing the vehicles, and if you're not utilizing them, they're going to look for a new home for that vehicle, right? So if you want to keep the vehicles you have, you need to start utilizing them for what they're meant to be utilized for, which means like this meeting, we should have a lot more people in here. You want to share this video with people. You want to get people locally qualified so that they're taking it on the DAT run, so that they're using it to do a home fire campaign. They're using it for a fundraising event. They're using it for volunteer services recruitment, right? It doesn't mean that you as a specialty vehicle driver have to drive everybody around. It means that you need to train them, right? So that they can drive themselves around. They can be trained without the feeding gap, be put down as locally qualified, and they're going to help you keep that vehicle in your region. Okay. If there's no need for your vehicle to be in the region, it's going to get taken. And that's not from me. That was the directive that was posed to us. And that's why the system emails out the RDO, the regional lead, the division, the division and national headquarters that the vehicle was taken without being signed out. Because when we go to take it and you go, no, 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 we've been using it. And we go, no, 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 look at all the emails you got. It's a fair opportunity. We're letting the regions know that this is a possibility, and we don't want to see that happen to anybody. We want you guys to keep your vehicles, right? The last thing I want to do is have a parking lot full of vehicles I got to go inspect, right? I'd rather you have them in the region. You're taking care of them, you're utilizing them. It's helping you do the day-to-day business you need to in your region, and that's what we want to see happen. I hope that makes sense. I'm not trying to scare anybody. Um, so once we get signed in, we're going to go to the next page. You're going to see it says vehicles, right? So we have a username. We signed in as that vehicle number as the username. Now we need to select that vehicle so that it's the same as the username. The vehicle number and the username need to match. If they don't match, and I'll show you how to check that, you need to sign back out and do it the right way. So you can't find the number on here. If you go up to top here and you type the number in, it'll filter everything out and it's going to go right to the vehicle that you want. And then you're into the next page that we're going to go to, which is your icons. So the next page is going to have three major icons on it. At the bottom right, it's going to have your sign out switch. And the bottom left, it's going to have a gear that you don't need to go into. And in the middle, it's going to tell you the username and the vehicle. And those two numbers should be identical. And that's how you know that's your confirmation that you're signed in correctly. The first icon is the forms icon. That's going to have your specialty vehicle sign out form. And there you're going to put, it's a real quick form. You're going to have your name, your phone number. Did you do the the pre-use inspection? Who is your co-driver or co-spotter? And what are you taking the vehicle out to do today? And then you're going to submit it, right? Very simple, very fast. I'm going to show you that. The second icon is your blue icon. That's going to have your three inspections. And the first inspection on this PowerPoint says vehicle daily safety check, right? When we first developed this, that was the name of the form. We since changed the name of that form to pre-use inspection, right? Because people were going, does that mean I have to do a daily inspection every day? No, that's not what it means. So we changed it to pre-use inspection, and you'll see that when we log in today, that name is changed. It's just that this PowerPoint has already been published on OneSource. I put the links in the chat. If you go in the chat, you're going to have 3 links in there. That's going to take you to 3 publications on specialty vehicles. It's going to have this PowerPoint. It's going to have a video in there, which is inside this PowerPoint on page 8, so that the region can go ahead and do this training the rest of the way without us once we do the first one. All of you that are in here should be good to teach this if you're good at teaching. Just follow along. You don't need to know everything I know. Just follow what's on the slide and then put the video on, and it's going to go walk through your demo and how it works. I'm going to give you guys a live demo and give you a little bit more information to make you better prepared. Okay. Vehicle daily safety check, right? Then you have your deployment inspection, which is what? That's your pre-deployment, your deployment at arrival at station, leaving station, and then post-deployment once it gets back home, right? You want to do all of them. And then you have your annual and your semi-annual, which will be your 1st of February and your 1st of August inspections. Okay. And we're going to go through all these forms. And then your vehicle icon, which is not used. We can't switch vehicles because how can you switch a username and the vehicle at the same time? Therefore, you can't do it because if you have a different username than the vehicle that you're signed into, you don't know where your inspection is going to go. It's going to get confused and it will not get submitted. Okay. Make that very clear. If your username, the vehicle you sign into, the element number, and the vehicle you select are not the same, your inspection will not get submitted correctly. It will not go in. Okay. The paper forms are no longer required if you want to use them for training purposes because there is no training program with this app. Once you go in, you're filling out your inspection. It's real. Okay, if you want to talk about how to do it and then just cancel it out versus saving it, be my guest. But the ones I'm doing now, I'm going to put errors on and I'm going to get them cleared out from the back end. You won't be able to do that, and then we don't want to miscue data. Okay. Um, and then also, this is the other thing. Once you do a deployment inspection or a semi-annual inspection, and you need to load it up in SharePoint, it's very easy to log into Verizon Connect, not the app, not the work plan, but Verizon Connect on the web page, download it, and then just take it in that same computer from your downloaded directory and upload it right into SharePoint without ever printing it out or anything. Okay, so we are going completely paperless on this whole process. Once they move SharePoint over to the Web EOC, SharePoint will go away, and this should be communicating with Web EOC, and we may not have to do that anymore. Okay. I hope that's a lot of good information I just gave you. So I'm going to go to the next slide. And what I'm going to do is this next part, instead of clicking on the video to go through the video, I'm going to actually do a live demonstration. I'm going to log my phone in and I'm going to share my phone with you so I can go through each parts of these. And Dave, if you can let me know once you can see my phone. Once we log in, we're going to go through the sign in, select the vehicle, navigate the icons, pre-use inspection, sign out the vehicle, review deployment 6395, review semi-annual 6395, and the sign out process. And then I'll do a little bonus training if you all have some time, and I'll teach you. Is the regional lead on here by any chance?
That's me.
Okay, there you go, Dave. Perfect. I don't know all the regional leads. My apologies. The regional lead is going to be a mechanic as well. They're going to have a mechanic sign in to go in and clear faults or failures that are submitted on the form once they're corrected. And I'm going to go through that process. We are currently working on the job tool for that. So you're going to get a demo of it, but I can't actually. What's nice about the demo is that everybody on here will be able to see what that's all about. So with that said, can you see my phone, Dave?
I, y- yes.
Okay. All right. So screen is showing my phone. Um, Remember what I told you? The red cross can be doesn't matter if it's capitals or not. Every time I log out and I go back in, automatically puts red cross colon right back there again. I never have to retype that again. Every single time I log out, that's the way it comes. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to log in. I'm going to use vehicle 87990 as the vehicle that we're going to do a demo on with you. Okay. I'm going to go up to my password. And remember, I said I always remember it like a date, a birth date. And if you look at it, I promise you'll never forget it if you do that. So I put my specialty vehicle fuel pin in. I click on my login, my work plan. And oh my God, there it is, right? Popped right up. Now I can see that the vehicle I want is the first vehicle on the list. And it doesn't always come out the first vehicle on the list. There can be hundreds of vehicles in here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right here and I'm going to type in the vehicle I want. So I'm going to put the first two digits in. And at this point, I'm going to stop because I see something on the screen I want to share with you. You see that red vehicle? That red vehicle, that's not the one I want, but that one has a write-up. See what happens when I click on it? You are selecting a vehicle with a DVIR failure. Do you wish to continue? I'm going to say no, because that's not the vehicle I want. I want 990. I'm going to filter it just to my vehicle, which is not red, right? If you see that, please make sure that if you go to sign a vehicle out and you see it's red, that's telling you that vehicle has a failure from somebody's inspection. Okay. Look at the previous inspections. And I'm going to show you one right here. So I'm going to go to 87990. I click in, and there you are. Remember we talked about we had the three icons, exactly like I told you they would be, right? You have your forms icon, your DVIR icon, and your vehicle icon. And at the bottom right, that little button is how you sign out of this app. In the middle, can you see what I got in there? 87990. It's in there twice. That's telling me that I signed in correctly. I have the username, which is the top one, and the vehicle I'm signed into is the lower one. Okay. And then off to the left, this little gearbox, this is stuff you don't need to fill out. Driver details, remember, was signed in as the vehicle. So there are no driver details. Don't come in here and try and put your last name and all this other kind of stuff in there. Although it does have an address in there, right? Because guess what? That's where that vehicle is located, is it not? Is that about right, Dave? Oh, you wouldn't know. You're not from there. Okay. Anyway, I'm thinking this is one of your vehicles. I'm sorry. Um, you won't have that information. You don't need to do the about. You shouldn't be logging into any of this stuff in here. This is nothing that you need to be in. General options, again, nothing that you need to be in. So you can just back out of there. That's just there so you know it. So we're going to start off. The first one I'm going to take you in is the inspection one, right? And remember I told you we just seen on that last one, there was a failure on there. So if I look at the previous inspection down here that I just did on this vehicle, there's two write-ups, okay? And on the form, there's going to be these blue squares to the left. That's where you put your notes every time. If you write something up, put a note in there. So let's go to the first one, which is no DEF, right? So you can see on here that the first message at 5:30 tonight, this is a previous class I did, there was a quarter def needs filled. So the def fluid was down to 1/4 left. So if it's 13 gallons or 12 gallons or whatever it is, there was 1/4 of that left in the tank. And somebody wrote it up as requires attention. And then somebody came in and they filled up that def, and then it was cleared by a mechanic. And the same thing here, you can see it's not showing you the all. If I click all, it's going to show the entire inspection, how it was done, and all the write-ups that were in here, including any pictures that might have been taken of that inspection. And it's just showing you what was changed. So I can see that any write-ups that were in here have been cleared out. Okay. So here's at the top part, that's going to be our three inspection forms. You have your pre-use inspection, you have your semi-annual, and your deployed inspection. So let's go and just take a quick look at the semi-annual. And I want to show you what the difference is in here. See this box right here? February, August. That's the biggest difference on the semi-annual. Okay. There is no other difference. This form is exactly the same as I'm going to discard it as the deployment form, except it's not going to have those items, and the deployment form is going to have some items that that form won't have. Like if you're doing a deployment form, it's going to have a DRO, right? Unless it's on alert and you don't know what the DRO is. You're going to have your pre-deployment. That's going to be most of the ones that you do initially. So let's say I don't know my DRO number and it's a pre-deployment and I don't have any driver's names because it's only alert, right? It's not standby. Go ahead and fill out the whole form, do the inspection with everything but that. And when you get down to the end, save it as a draft. And then when they call you and they say, okay, put it on standby, you can write the driver's names in at that point and the DRO and then submit it. And that's okay. All right. Otherwise, you're going to do it for alert, and then you're not going to be able to put the driver's names in there. And they're going to say, okay, add these drivers in there. you're going to have to redo the whole form again. So that'll save you from having to do that, and you guys will figure that out. So let me show you some of the things that are on this form that are different than the pre-use checklist. So we're going to go down, and I'm going to go through it. A lot of the items are right on here, and we're going to talk about a lot of this stuff, but I want to hit, so this form, this one, and the annual is going to have how many keys are with the vehicle. That's very important. Um, some of the additional items that you're going to have are all the IRV items, because they're not done on the pre-use, because the pre-use are only the items in yellow, right? So some of these will be done, but not all of them. Your safety check items, these are all going to be DVR items. Anything with a DVR item is going to be pass, fail, or NA, or requires attention. So like, let's see, be passed, requires attention, or NA. So it's different for each item that's in here. Okay. Your tires, here's another one, right? Pass, fail, requires attention, or NA, right? So there's going to be different things on there. You see them all popping up red because I clicked on it and I didn't put an answer in there. These are just real simple. You select what your tire pressure is. If you're doing your tire pressure and it's 5 pounds low, should you write it up or say requires attention? So here's what I would suggest. If you have an air compressor there, fill the darn thing up with air right there, right? And then pay attention and check it when you come back from your drive, right? To see if it's a slow leak. If it's a slow leak, go in and do one and put requires attention, right? Slow leak in right and left tire or whatever. It needs to see a mechanic. Um, that's fine. But if you can correct this, if it's low on DEF and you have it at the chapter office, then go ahead and fill the DEF up. It needs a quart of oil. If you have it, I don't know if you guys do oil or not, but if you did, fill it, right? Or take it to a mechanic, schedule it. If something that you can fix, like putting 5 pounds of air in it, just fix it, right? And you can fix it without writing a failure. So I can say it passed, but then come over here and say tire was 5 pounds low. And I'm not going to type, I'm just going to hit buttons. I'm not typing everything. I could say tire was 5 pounds low. I added air to the tire. Even though it's a pass, you can put a note in there that what you did to fix it. If it's a brake light, I'll give you an example about that. And this is really important, right? So if it's a brake light, go ahead. Is it one brake light out or two? Because if it's two, right, that's a hard fail. That's a safety, right? If it's one, it's probably a fail too. I don't know how your state is, but it could be requires attention. One's working, one's not. But why would you want to take the chance? That's a safety item, right? So just put it as a fail. But in the notes, mark down whether it's one light or two, because there's a big difference in that. If it's one light, that's telling me it's probably the light bulb. If it's two, that means that it could be a fuse, it could be electrical surge, it could be electrical issue. There's so many more things that can be, because both lights wouldn't just go out at the same time, right? They don't normally just blow both bulbs. Could it happen? Yeah, it could. But as much information as you can supply us in this little blue dot is critical, that you do that. Okay. And just like on a 6395, it's going to put all those comments at the bottom of the form, or on the 6395 paper. I think it was the back of the form, right? It's going to put all that on there. Here's another thing, fire extinguisher. On these inspections, it's going to ask you the gauge. Is it green or red? Take it out, shake it up, flip it upside down, make sure the stuff's not a rock sitting at the bottom, and then check your pressure. Is it green or is it red? If it's green, you're good to go. If it's red, put a note in there, call your regional lead and tell him he's got to get a hold of NFO to get a new fire extinguisher, right? Or go out and buy a new fire extinguisher and put it in there, right? But that's something that needs to be attended to, right? So we want to make sure that we document what we're doing in the notes, and it's critical. When I say call them, if you put a note in here and put it as red, this form is not going to call them. That's your job, signing out the form, to call your regional lead or your garage lead and say, hey, I want to let you know that the fire extinguisher on this vehicle is not good, right? I did the inspection, check it out. Okay, now if you fail it, if it's a fail or requires attention, it will go to the RDO and the regional lead. An email is going to go to them telling them that they got a fault in that vehicle. But if it's something like green or red on a fire extinguisher, you need to kind of message that up there. Okay. Something else that we added, I just want to bring up too on fire extinguishers on the pre-use inspection, it's not going to ask you the color, but it is going to ask you if that extinguisher is securely fastened inside the specialty vehicle. So that's a new question, and the green and red is a new question that we added to the 6395 because it made more sense to do it that way, right? Is it secured? We want to make sure that is secured, and it should be because there's supposed to be tie downs for those fire extinguishers. As we come down, we're going to look down. You're going to notice that we changed a couple other questions. It had body damage, and it used to say yes or no. Okay, is that yes that it has dents, or yes that it's good and it doesn't have dents, right? It wasn't very clear. There wasn't specific guidance on that. So we changed it to be good or damaged, right? It's either good, right? And normal wear and tear, scuffs and scrapes, that's going to be on any vehicle. But if the front end is smashed in, the light bulb is actually broken, cracked, or something like that, then it's damaged, right? I mean, that's straightforward. It's damaged. If it's a scrape, that's nothing big, like just wear and tear scrape. That's no big deal, right? That's normal wear and tear over the time of the vehicle. And some of these vehicles are going to be out there between 10 and 15 years. They're going to have scrapes. They're going to have wear and tear. They're going to have weather, sand from the wind blowing on them and beating on the front end, right? It's going to happen. But if your engine hood is broke, it's broke, period. That's it. Click on here and put, oh, somebody broke the arm that holds up the hood, right? Clear and straight. Just be straight up with this and fill it out so that it's clear to everybody. Front logo, we changed this writing too from yes and no. Yeah, there's a front logo, or it wasn't very descriptive. So we changed it to good, faded, or missing, right? It's going to fall into one of those three categories. Like in Arizona and Florida, because of the excessive heat, a lot of times they're faded. But you have excessive cold where you guys live, right? So that could mean that the logo actually cracks and falls off or gets brittle, right? So there's different places, different things, but this is more descriptive than yes or no. I didn't agree with the yes or no, and I think this is a big improvement. You guys can tell me what you think. Um, it just makes more sense. And then down here, the serving area, you're going to see DVIR questions. And typically, if we selected a DVIR question down here, because it's a critical asset, your serving area seat, that's where somebody's sitting while you're driving. If that is not working, your seatbelt's not working, it's not locking in, that is not safe. That's a fail, right? And you need to document that. And the seat should be in the vehicle. It shouldn't be removed from the vehicle, right? So that's something that we want to document. Your food Cambro rack. Guess what? That's a safety too, because if you can't secure the Cambros to that food rack where we sit them, then that's not safe when you drive in that vehicle. So that's a critical one. Cleanliness in the specialty vehicle. That's a critical one too. Did you know that if you are transporting DEF in the back of that vehicle, even if it's completely sealed, you now have to sanitize that entire back of the vehicle. That's where food is served. And if an inspector found that in there, even if it was not open and wasn't leaking, we would get a huge fine. Okay. It's a food service area. It's not meant to transport stuff. Your MERV you transport stuff in. Your ERV is not designed to transport stuff. You serve food out of there. It should be clean. It should be sanitized. And it should be, even if I take it on a DAT run and I put a family back there, it's cold outside, and we do their DAT run inside and we do their case, that's great. But when that couple comes back, guess what? Whoever is driving that specialty vehicle should be breaking out some sandy wipes and cleaning off that counter and seats and everything back there, right? We don't know if the young man that was sitting back there wiped boogers on the seat or not, do you? But we're going to serve food from back there. So we need to make sure that we keep that area clean. And I know that's silly. I'm just making stuff up. So please don't take it the wrong way. But these are all critical things. You're serving food down there in the heat or the cold. You want your AC or heater to work, right? If that's not working, that's a critical failure because that's your safety back there too. If you're going to sit in the cold for 2 hours, that's not doing any good. How does that make us look as a Red Cross, right? Your barrier door. God forbid your fire extinguisher is not strapped down the way we just said it needs to be strapped down, and that barrier door is open and you have to make an immediate slam on the brakes, something just cut in front of you, a deer or whatever, that could be like a rocket coming through that front door and right out your front window or hitting one of you in the front, right? So it is vital that that barrier door is there to stop anything that's in the back from getting through to the front. Okay. And that's the way you need to look at what's in here. Okay. You can now take one photo of damage. So I could click on this photo and I can show you my pen right there. And I could take a photo of that damage just like that. That's how easy it is for me to take a photo. And now that becomes part of my record, right? I'm not going to save that photo. If I filled out more than 50% of the form, I could save it as a draft. I'm going to get out of here. I just wanted to go over the deployment and the semi-annual. We are going to now actually do our pre-use inspection, right? We're going to go down, date of report. Everything is going to be correct in here. I'm going to put this as tester 1, okay? I'm going to come in here, tester 2. Oh, that's not test. That's my phone number. I'm sorry. I'm not paying attention. 561-428-7509. All right. I'm going to go through my inspection, my visors there, my accident kit, my vehicle registration, my insurance card, my corporate lodging card, right? My fuel maintenance card, which is what? What is the fuel and maintenance card? That's your element card, right? My tire gauge should be in my driver's side door slot, right? Should be right there. Fuel. Every specialty vehicle, when it's parked, should have 3/4 or more fuel in that specialty vehicle. This guy's doing a great job. He left it at full. I'm going to say that's where it is. All right. Fuel maintenance card number. Okay. Everybody thinks that the card number is the number that looks like a credit card at the top. That is not your card number on your element card. Below that number, you're going to see it's going to say card number, and it's going to have a 4 or 5-digit number with a dash and then 1 digit. And that's what that number looks like. And then you're going to put what the expiration date of that card is. So that's how that field should look right there. And check it out when you look in there. It's usually in the middle of the card below the long numbers. All right. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. I'm going to go through and I'm going to click my horn and it beeps. Now I'm going to go to my IRV DEF. I'm going to say, yep, my IRV passed. What if I have a MERV? So two things. One, I could probably bypass the question, or I can mark it as not applicable, right? So for this, we're just going to put as passed. My engine oil, I'm going to check the engine oil. It's passed. My battery compartment, is it clean, corrosion, or not accessible? Well, guess what? It could be not accessible if it's a MERV and you can't get the back panel up for the pre-use inspection. But when you do your semi-annual or your deployment checklist, you must check that battery compartment. Only on the pre-use inspection can you get a waiver if you can't get that up. Okay, that is the only one. So we're going to say it's clean. And on an IRV, you'll never put not accessible. It'll only be a MERV that you can put not accessible. And then I'm going to leave it up to regional lead to make sure that battery is good if it's been bypassed, so that at least it's done semi-annual or for deployment. Headlights. My headlights are good. My hazard lights, they're good. All right. I'm going to go to my directional signals and I'm going to do a fail, right? And you see how it says fail? So I'm going to click on the box here and I'm going to say left turn signal out. And I'm going to put my initials, JV, right? And I'm going to hit plus. And you see how that went down there with the date and time? And then it's going to have the vehicle number that wrote it. That's why I put my initial in there, right? Because if we gave everybody their own username and password, we'd be spending most of our time trying to help people remember what their password was. And that is just too much trouble to go through. So our backup lights, yep, backup lights work. And actually my hazard lights, I'm surprised because they passed, but yet my directional signal didn't. So I'm wondering if maybe it's something else besides the light, right? Think about that. My brake lights are passed. License plate light is good. And you're going to say, why is my license plate not one of the DVIRs? Because not every state is it a write-up. And if it's out, that's your license plate. It's the brake lights are what's really a safety, right? I can adjust my mirrors, everything works good with that. So I'm going to say yes. And be alert. Sometimes you can adjust your mirror and it drips down, it doesn't hold spot. I would put no, and I would write that up if I were you. I'm going to check my tire. It's 65 psi. It's good. I check the next one at 60. What am I going to do? I'm going to put 5 pounds of air in there, and I'm going to make a little note in the side that says why I need to pay attention to that thing. I'm going to let my regional lead know that I had to do that, right? My crossfire, right? Crossfire is installed. Is it installed? That's a pass, right? If it's not installed, okay, or it's hanging off, okay, not installed requires attention because it needs to be installed. There should be no specialty vehicle without a crossfire on it. And if there is, it needs to be fixed. Um, a fail would be it's hanging off and the vehicle's not drivable because it's there, but it's hanging off of there, right? So that would be a fail, or air is leaking out of it excessively, so the tires won't stay inflated, which should not happen. But if it did, we'd say that would be a fail. And if it's a MERV, we're going to say NA, right? So good on that. Our colors for the ERV, we know this is an ERV and it's got proper pressure. So I'm going to say, yep, they're yellow. And if they were high or low, right, that's what we have our red and black for. Roadside reflectors, we have all three in there. We have our first aid kit and it's in current dates. Our wheel chocks, when they say 2 wheel chocks, right? They're talking about one set, 2 chocks. They're not talking having 2 sets. Just be aware of that. And I'm bringing it up because somebody said to me, I don't have 2 sets. I said, it's not 2 sets, it's 2 chocks, one for the front of the wheel and one for the back of the wheel, right? The one set. All right. Um, Fire extinguishers. I should have 2 in an ERV, 1 in a MERV. Got them. Remember what I told you? Fire extinguisher secured. Yes, my fire extinguisher is secured. I don't have any damage, so I'm not going to take a photo and I'm going to hit submit. Now, that inspection just went in. If I wanted to see that inspection again, I can just look in here and I can see it, and I have my fail right there. Okay. And I did that on purpose. So now, we're going to say the vehicle's still drivable. I didn't have a fail. So I'm going to come into my forms. At the top, I'm going to see box 1 is a specialty vehicle sign out. Box 2 is if Biomed needs to utilize a MERV from DCS. This is where you're going to do it. You don't have to do the paper form anymore. It's going to go right in here. Whoever is the lead or authorized to sign for that should be given that privilege from the RDO. Okay. And I can look down below. I can see all the previous ones that were submitted and the current ones for this date, right? See that down there? So I can see all of my previous inspection forms down here. All right. So we're going to come in and we're going to sign out this vehicle. It's a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter. There's my number. That's the mileage, right? I'm going to come down here to the date, my driver's name, and I'm going to fill it out, and I'm going to say it's tester 1, right? And then my spotter is tester 2, okay? And tester 2 doesn't know how to drive a specialty vehicle, but I sat there and I showed them what the hand signals are so they could spot me on my trip, right? Something that's also good, and I'm going to bring this up, is there's a lot of new people. The new readiness target's calling for 35,000 people coming in the Red Cross for the next 5 years, right? That's a lot of volunteers. So why would you not call a new volunteer and say, hey, I'm going for a check ride on this specialty vehicle. Why don't you come check it out with me? See what it's all about. Teach them how to do the hand signals. Now you got a spotter, right? Because there are going to be certain circumstances where you won't have that second driver, i.e., right? It's not the preferred way. It's not what we want. We want you to always have a spotter and a second driver. But the reality's out there. When you're returning from a DR, you may get sent home without a second driver, right? That's just the reality of it. You may have to take it for a check ride, and maybe somebody's at the chapter that can help you spot it back into the spot, but you're not going to make any backups when you go on the road. And I will tell you, because we see a lot of accidents and we see a lot of stuff that goes on out there. And everybody that was on a check ride that backed into a pole said, I backed up here hundreds of times and never hit anything. And then they hit something, right? You never hit anything till you finally do. So every one of us, I don't care how experienced you are, will benefit from a spotter. Okay. So, engage some new volunteers, get them to come out with you, get them to go for a check ride. You may make a new driver out of them, right? That's kind of awesome if you do that. Did I do my pre-use inspection? Yes, we did, right? We just went through that. Now, if these are the items that are authorized to be used on a specialty vehicle, do you see all of them in here? If it's a deployment, you're going to put the DRO number at the bottom. If it's anything else like weekly by mileage, let me go through this. Okay, if it's 25 miles every 2 weeks, it's not 50 a month. The reason it's 25 every 2 weeks, it's the ERV, not the MERV, is required to drive 25 miles every 2 weeks if it has not gone out at all. The reason being is we find that the battery will end up dead, and the people that aren't taking it for that check ride are having more maintenance issues than when we do take it for the check ride. If it sits, you will have problems. If you take it out, you will not have as many problems. And that's a fact. We can show you maintenance records and bills that we had to pay that show that there's over 200,000 more maintenance on the vehicles that aren't going for the check ride than the vehicles that are. And that's pretty steady evidence to me that it needs to go on that check ride. Okay. Now, if your region is using it the whole 2 weeks, it's got more than 25 miles, you're probably good. You don't need to do it for that 2 weeks, right? But you want to make sure that it's being utilized. How can you tell? Oh, I just log in the app. I can see how many people are signing it out, right? I can see the mileage moving from this date to this date on how often it's been used. Okay. Check rides should be equal to 600 miles a year. If you go a little bit further, maybe 708 the max. If you have 2,000 miles in bi-weekly 25-mile rides, that's going to turn around as a red flag that the region is not utilizing the vehicle properly. They're just signing it out under that because they're using it for something that's not listed on that list. And if it's not listed on that list, they shouldn't be using it, right? I mean, that's what it tells me. I mean, you guys tell me if you feel like that makes sense. I want to be fair to the regions. So, I mean, if you're taking it out for maintenance, take it out for maintenance. If a MERV is following you and it's going to pick you up as you drop the ERV off at a mechanic shop, put them both out as maintenance because what are they doing? They're doing a maintenance run for you, right? If you're going on a DAT run, put it as DAT run. If you're doing canteening. Exercise, simulation, you're training new drivers. There's something for all of that. Home fire campaign, any part of a home fire campaign. If you're going to scout out a neighborhood for a home fire campaign, why not have the billboard driving down the street and telling everybody, yep, we're going to be out here in 2 weeks to install smoke alarms in your neighborhood, right? It's awesome, right? Use it. Um, Fundraising event, right? Funds development can sign this vehicle out. You don't have to be the driver for them. Train them to be a local driver and let them take it out and go to their funds development event. And yes, they should have anything that's used down here other than this or coming back from a DRO. You should have two people driving in that vehicle. You need a spotter and a regular person. You should have. I mean, if you're going to a funds development event, a fund event, or a home fire campaign, you can't tell me that there's only one person going. There's got to be more than one person going to that event. Community preparedness, right? Community outreach, volunteer. You know, what community outreach would be under that you can do volunteer service as a recruiting event. That's community outreach, right? You have They're doing touch a truck at a school, right? That's community outreach. It could be community preparedness too. It could go into either one of them. If you're taking supplies from your warehouse to a chapter, On the MERV, that would be a supply run. Should your ERV have a supply run? Absolutely not. It's not what the ERV is meant for. The MERV, however, can do a supply run, but it shouldn't be used to do a couple other things that people, I think, are using them for. It's a DCS tool. It's designed to perform stuff in DCS that we're doing, and we want to make sure. Not saying that it's we shouldn't be using it. We should be using all of these vehicles and putting miles on them, but put the proper miles on and put it for the reason, right? National's not paying for fuel for a vehicle so that you can go paint a chapter with it because you want a van to put all your stuff in, right? It's not a building maintenance tool, right? That's a fleet thing. That fleet should be doing that and not that is not DCS's thing for that. And that's not what the vehicles are designed for, right? You want to supply your chapters with stuff, use it for that. That's actually an important part of what we do with it, right? But that should not be the ERV, it should be the MERV, just to be clear on that. So for this purpose, we're going to say that we're doing home fire campaign, or actually we're going to do training, and then I'm going to come down here. And you see there's a draft there. Remember I told you the draft will pop up if you have so many. I'm going to hit submit, and now that's done, right? That is how the whole process works. I'm going to come back to the front, and I'm going to click this little button at the bottom right, and I'm going to log out. And it's going to ask me would I like to log out. I'm going to say no. If I swipe up like that, even though I don't see it, it's still running in the background. So two things. One, if you have data and you don't mind, leaving it, you have like unlimited data and you want to leave your phone plugged in and plug it into the specialty vehicle while you're driving around, you can leave the app open and logged in. It's not really going to transmit any data. All it's going to do is connecting with that Bluetooth that's there. It shouldn't be using any of your phone data, but to be safe, we're going to say, okay, yeah, it uses phone data. I don't know. I was told it doesn't, but to be safe, we say it will be. So if you have unlimited data, leave it logged in. It's going to make sure that you never log out of your vehicle. It's going to show that you still have the vehicle and you've been with it the whole time. If you log out, that's okay. Okay. Hit the button and log out and say yes. And it's going to go back to the screen. That's how you know you're logged out. You can still take your vehicle. You're not going to get an email for it. Now, if you separate from that vehicle and you walk away for a couple of hours and you come back to go do something else, you need to redo your pre-use inspection and you need to re-sign it out for whatever else you're going to take it for. Okay. And then if you're done for the day, 4 o'clock in the morning rolls, it's automatically going to reset everything and log everybody out. And it's a new start date. You won't be able to leave it signed in for 3 days in a row. You have to re-sign it out every morning and do the pre-use inspection every morning, right? Because it's considered a different day. So let me show you your data, but I do want to show you what it looks like when the mechanic signs in, and they clear one of the write-ups. So I'm going to sign in as the mechanic right now. And when I get in, you're going to see I have a different screen. And this is going to be your regional lead's going to have this. Your regional lead, your division lead, national headquarters, and NFO. Any one of us can clear these write-ups, okay?
Sure. Is there a password for mechanic?
You will. You're going to have, yours is going to be RL Mechanic, and you'll have the password once we do the training with you, all right?
Okay.
I'm just giving you a sneak peek. And the reason I'm giving you a sneak peek is so that everybody else can see what it's going to look like when something's cleared, right? So this particular one I just signed in is the national headquarters one. There is NFO mechanic, there is DL mechanic and RL mechanic, and then the national headquarters. So there's 4 sign-ins. Every regional lead is going to have the same mechanic sign-in. Don't go on a vehicle that's not yours. That's what I'm going to tell you. And we're creating the job tool for this. So I go in, you see where my username is mechanic, but you notice I don't have a vehicle selected, right? Remember we talked about that. So I'm going to go into my DVIR and I see every vehicle that's out there that has a write-up right now. So all these vehicles have a write-up, every single one of them. And you notice there's no little box at the top for me to type a number. So now I got to find the vehicle that I'm looking for. Well, we just wrote something up right? And what vehicle was that? That was 87990, and I see it right here in the middle. I'm going to move it towards the top so everybody can see it. I'm going to touch that vehicle. And when I touch that vehicle, it's going to show me that there was a write-up on a pre-use safety check 6395. Well, why would I be going in here? I'm not just going to arbitrarily look. So one of your team members that's on here right now, and I'm just going to call out a team member. I'm going to say it's Rod. So Rod calls up and says, hey, Dan, I have a write-up. Oops, do you guys lose my screen? I'm sorry. How do I do this? Here we go. Okay. Let me share my screen back with you. And let's get it back up here. So I'm going to hit share. Um,
John, we can still see your screen.
oh, you can?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it disappeared. It disappeared for me. That's why I was like, wait a second, where'd my screen go? Like, I don't have it. All right, so that's good. All right, thank you for that, filling me in on that. I don't know why I can't see it. It just disappeared off my screen. All right, so anyway, so you're notified, the regional lead's notified, hey, they have this write-up on this chapter on this vehicle. They just assured me that they corrected the fault. They took it into a mechanic, they had the blinker fixed, and it's now working, right? So he's gonna go in, or she's gonna go in, whoever that mechanic is, and they're gonna go in and they're gonna look at the pre-use inspection. And they should have been told by an email or conversation, hey, this is the fault. We just had it repaired at XYZ location. So now that person goes in there, and what do we see right here? We see the fail directional signal. I click on the one. Okay. Oop, come on, open up for me. And it won't open up for some reason. There we go. And I'm going to see left turn signal out. Well, when Rod called that in and said, hey, we just took this in, okay, so you can go in here and you can now, when you go to clear this fault, you're going to type in fixed at Bill Murray's auto shop, right? Or Bill Mitt's shop. And then you're going to put your initials. I'm going to put my initials in here. And then I'm going to hit plus. So I'm going to put my note that it was fixed. And then I'm going to come over to the fail and I'm going to just mark it as fixed. We're not asking that mechanic to inspect it. We're just saying it was identified to you that that's been fixed and you marked it as fixed. And then you're going to come down to the bottom. You make sure that there's no other write-ups and you hit submit. Okay. Now it's going to tell you no DVIRs to check. So we're going to now log out, same way we log out the other one. And we'll go completely out. Right? Come on, go through the process. Here we go. Now Rod is going to go. He's not there, but Sue Hensley says, "Oh, I need to go sign this out today." So she walks up to that vehicle and she puts her information in, and she puts her element fuel pin number in, right? It's like a birthday. We get it in there. We go in and she says, oh, remember I told you might not always see it on this page when you go to sign in. So you go to the top and we put that number in and there it is right there. And she goes, oh, that's the vehicle I want. So she clicks that button and then she goes, oh, what is this? A DVAR to approve, right? So now she clicks on this and she sees that the directional signal was fixed. So she clicks on that. She can read that the left turn signal was out and that it was fixed at Bill's Mitch shop and now it needs to be inspected. All right. So she gets her spotter. She gets in the vehicle. She puts a directional signal on. And lo and behold, both directional signals work. So she checks it out. So now she comes in here and she marks it as passed and submits it. And that completes the 3-process step. And now she can turn around and do her pre-use inspection and do her sign out of the vehicle at that point. Any questions on that? I know it was a lot of stuff. It really was a lot of stuff. I am going to completely sign out of this now, and I am going to stop sharing this screen because I am going to go sharing my other screen. All right, and you guys are gonna in for this. I hope so far everything has been good for everybody, and the information that you guys are getting is accurate. That I know it's accurate, but if you guys are getting it accurate, you're perceiving it the right way. And we'll go for some more questions. So what I want to do now is I'm going to open up and I'm going to go to Verizon Connect. You guys can all see my screen, right? I'm logged into Verizon Connect. I'm going to come down to my tasks. I'm going to go to driver forms, and not everybody's going to have access to this. This is only going to be people that are either garage leads, the regional lead. I don't know how your region's doing it, but the people will be trained to get in Verizon Connect. Dan, you have a question?
I waited.
I can't hear you. Can anybody hear him?
My mic's not.
Yeah, I just hear him just barely.
I can't hear you, Dan.
Can you hear me now?
A little better.
Well, anyhow, my quick question.
I lost you again.
Password. I don't understand what you meant by the password.
Dave, can you make out what he's saying? I can't.
Nope, I can't quite make it out.
Can you type it in chat? Is there anybody else could hear what he was
He's
saying?
asking about the password.
Okay, what about it? Oh, the password is the specialty vehicle fuel pin number. And that's not something that we pass around. So we should be trained on that. We want to make sure that we don't leave it written anywhere. We can store it in our phone or in our head. And if you take a look at that specialty vehicle fuel pin number, to me, it actually looks like a birth date, right? So that's how I remember it. You guys will figure out some way of how you want to remember it, but I hope that helped anyway, Dan. Sorry we can't hear you. I wish we were hearing you a little better.
I have a couple questions, John.
Yep, go ahead.
When somebody takes the vehicle without signing it out, you said it goes to the RDO national headquarters. Does that
Yeah,
also
so-
go to the region lead also?
So what's going to happen is if the vehicle drives away without the pre-use inspection and the sign out done on it, an email is going to go out to the RDO, the regional lead, the divisional representative, and national headquarters. So everybody's going to know that that vehicle is in use without being signed out, including on a DRO. Okay. And if it's on a DRO, you don't have to worry about it because national, we're going to take care of that. That's what my team does, is we're in connection with that DRO. We'll make sure that they know they need to be signing it out. It'll already be on the DRO. So hopefully when it left, you guys signed it out as going to the DRO. Because even if the 6395 is done, you still got to do the pre-use inspection. If they stop overnight, they got to do it again before they leave for the next day to go to that DRO, right?
Okay.
Because they want to know every step of the way that what that's being used for. Just saying but that's a good question.
So if you take it to them for in for maintenance and they find something wrong with it and it has to stay overnight at the shop,
Perfect.
you sign out and
So when
leave
you
for the
sign it
day.
out, I got your answer for you. So there's a script that's in there that if it's going for maintenance and it stays at that location and doesn't move again, it's not going to send an email out to you go to pick it up and re-inspect it.
What if they move it at the garage?
They can move it at the garage. They're going to take it for a test run probably.
Okay.
That's why there's a script that shows it was signed out to go to maintenance, right? And then, so remember the example I gave you? You're in the IRV, I'm in the MIRV. I'm following you to the maintenance shop. You
right.
drop the IRV off, then you get in my MIRV and we drive back to the chapter, right?
Yep.
I sign out the vehicle. The next day, the maintenance shop, because it never left there, it knows it's not its home address. It's not going to send an email out because it knows it's in for maintenance. But yet
Okay.
the MIRV that we took out, if I take that without signing it out the next day, because it was at its home address, it will send an email out. So there's a script that we put in the back end that if it's going in for maintenance, to not send it out if it's at an overnight address that's not its home address.
Okay.
And that was just something that came up. It came up a couple of weeks ago, and then we talked to Verizon Connect, and they're the ones that are making that script. There's a couple other things that have a script as well, like after 1 mile of movement, things like that. Because we know, like, hey, let's say you have to move it over because they're gonna mow the lawn, and you don't want rocks flying into the side of your ERV, right? So you might move it across the street or a different parking spot. We understand there's going to be little things like that. So it's set to do, if you move more than 1 mile, it's going to shoot that email out if the inspection's not done and the sign out's not done, both of them together. So let's go in here really quick. I want to show you, we signed out this vehicle, right? And we did the pre-use check on it, right? So I want to go to my first pre-use check on this vehicle. I'm going to zoom in. Can everybody see my screen? This is what the new 6395 looks like, and it's the pre-use safety check. And you're going to see on here directional signal, and there's a 1 after it, right? And it shows a fail, right? So why did it fail? Let's just go down to that button number 1 and right down here at the bottom, just like you would do on 6395, it's going to put comment 1, left turn signal out, and then my initials, right? Well, who's JV? So I come back up here. Who signed the vehicle out? I put it as tester 1, but you would have my name and phone number right here, right? I'm the one that filled this form out. I'm the one that showed that, right? So then how does it look when it's corrected? So let's go to a corrected one down here. And that one, I'm going to bring it up. And it's going to have all 3 processes, right? It's got the inspection that failed, the mechanic that marked it fixed, and then we had it checked and it passed its inspection, right? So that's the 3 process inspection. So the DVR with the 3 process inspection, they call it a signature. I didn't put signatures on here because I don't want you guys having to sign a form. That, to me, that's not useful. I'd rather you be able to put a picture versus a signature. So you can see that was re-inspected and it passed, and then it has the different information over here. Because this is just mechanic, this is coming from national headquarters. That's my actual sign-in, right? But it could have NFO, RL, DL, whoever cleared it. So if Dave's out of town, he's not around because he goes on vacation like every other normal American out there. We go away, we go fishing, we go do something, we're not available, right? And I hope you are taking some downtime, Dave, so you're not working 100% of the time. You might need somebody to sign off a fault. Well, you can reach out to your division and ask them. You can email NFO. You can email dlc@redcross.org. Somebody is going to help you. You're not alone. Okay. The only thing I ask is that you provide that information so that we know what we're signing off. We don't want to sign something off if it wasn't actually fixed, right? You should have made, if you took it into Element to get it done, you should have a receipt from there, right? We'll see it anyway. We're going to know. And that's one of the things that we're putting in process. If we see something that was fixed from Element, we may go ahead and just clear that fault as part of our process. And then you'll have to do the inspection saying, yeah, it is good, or no, it's not good, right?
Will the backup region lead also have mechanic access?
Negative. There should be only one person in your region that has access, and that is the division lead, the regional lead. If he doesn't have it, it needs to go to the division lead, and they'll do it. Yep. We're going to get notified either way. Every time you clear something, I'm going to be notified. I get a whole report on who's clearing what, right? So, and if you have somebody else doing it and I go, oh, I seen Dave did this and it wasn't right, let me call him up, and I find that you ain't even in town, how's that going to look? Right? So it's better if you have that process, and if there's a new regional lead, The alternative was we were going to give it to the RDO, but they got too much on their plate. And if they're designating you to be the regional lead, then we're designating you to be that person that can clear these faults. All right. We'll see how it goes. We'll go from there, but it's not really a big deal. It's not like you're going to have 100 of these a day coming in, right? But it is going to bring more awareness, because if it's a fail like this and it's red, an email is going to go out to you and to the RDO letting you know that you have a vehicle with a fail on it, right? Which is important. I think right now, what notifies you if you have a fail? Nothing, right? And I can show you one I did earlier that had more write-ups on it. I think it's this one right here. Let me see. There we go. So here's one. This is the same vehicle. It's for the class I did earlier. And you could see that they had 3 write-ups in here. So, but you can see one was yellow. That is the required attention, but there was a fail. There was 0 engine oil in the vehicle. So if you come down to the bottom, you can see that it had all the different items in there after it was corrected, and it showed you all 3 of the process going all the way through, which is kind of cool. So, with that said, I do want to show you. So real quick, if this was a semi-annual, I could come over here. I could click on that down arrow. I could rename it as 87990 semi-annual February 1st or August 1st inspection, right? I could download it and I can upload it in SharePoint 123 without ever printing it out or anything. And it's so much faster. So, if you have somebody that doesn't have access to download it and upload it in SharePoint, and they just email you, ask them to tell you date and time that they did the form, and you can come in and look at it right here and make sure everything is good. It's all very easy to read, and it uploads very easy. Okay. As far as your sign out, so we have the specialty vehicle sign out. This is what that looks like. So this top box where 1 is, this is actually where the address is, right? So this vehicle is not by me, but yet I was able to put it in here. So if you are in Nebraska and the vehicle's in Florida and you fill out signing the vehicle out to use, we're going to go, why is he signing the vehicle out when he's not, he or she is not near that vehicle? How is that possible, right? And it could be that maybe somebody was signing it out and they couldn't figure it out, so they called you to do it, right? But we're going to know where that, and there's a reason this is this way. We want to make sure that the people are actually near the vehicle. And then the other thing that comes out, do you see these items here? So this is telling me, so this is a pass on this one from North Carolina for a pre-use inspection. And if I click on it, it says there's 100% probability, I don't know why they have 3 hours, that they actually did this inspection. It's probably because they used it for 3 hours and they left their phone logged in. That's why that's showing that way, right? Where this one here that we just did, it says a 1% probability that I actually did this inspection, right? I spent the minimum time filling out the form with you guys, but I didn't walk around and 21 feet around the vehicle, right? I didn't do it. I didn't spend time doing any of the inspection. And it's telling me there's a probability of 1% that I didn't do this. Well, I think it's right? I'm sitting here with you on here. I didn't do this inspection. We were just playing with it and going through it. And it's telling me there's only 1% chance that I did this inspection. And that's where we're at. I mean, you can see it on here. And I spent 6 minutes and 32 seconds, right, performing that inspection. So you can see the probability difference, right, between the 2 forms right here. So in North Carolina, they signed that out. But then here, we did it, signed out too, but the probability was I didn't do it. So that's kind of cool how that works. Is it always right? No. I mean, I can open this up. We're on 50. I can come back to the previous page, and there's some that are green, and there's some that are not green. here's another one from North Carolina, and I can click on here, and 5% chance this was actually done correctly, this inspection form. On this one here, I can come up to here, 100% chance this was done correctly, right? So, it's give or take. Here's a 0% chance that this form was actually a pre-use inspection was actually done, right? And here's a deployment and checklist form, right? 99% chance they did it right. They spent 26 minutes doing this. They didn't give a probability of walking around the diameter, but it's a pretty high probability that the deployment inspection was done. So again, this is just out there for you guys. I'm not saying you have to know it or don't have to know it. So let me buzz on by through the rest of this. So just I want to hit again. This is what the app plan looks like. This is for operational state and steady state. It needs to be done all the time. And this is the reason why we're doing it. The utilization rate, right? Tracking utilization. Do we have the vehicles in the right place across the country? If a region's not utilizing it, maybe we need to move it where they are going to utilize it, right? And I don't want to see anybody lose a vehicle, but I am telling you that with everything buckling down on finances and everything else, these vehicles cost a lot of money. You're talking $1 million a year in maintenance. They're not going to keep them there if they're not being utilized. All right. Utilize them the way they should be utilized. And, I don't want to see anybody lose a vehicle. That's the last thing I want. Okay. So the job tools are published. If you look in one source, I'm going to bring them up on my screen real quick for you. They're in here. So here's the disaster specialty vehicle fleet toolbox. You're going to have the Verizon specialty job tool right here. You're going to have a 15-minute video, and the PowerPoint we're using is right here. And you can download it and you can use this. I'm giving you guys the tools. Everybody on here taking this class, I did a long version. There's a video. This video is embedded on tab 8. Just press the video. It's going to go through the demo. It's 15 minutes long. You could literally go through this whole presentation in a half hour, okay? I just went a little extra because you guys are the first time getting it, and I wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to see the whole thing in production. DLC@redcross.org. I'll say it again, DLC@redcross.org. Email us with any questions at all. We are here to help you. And the job tool for the mechanic sign off on faults is coming out soon. I promise you it is coming soon. You just got to give us a chance to get it. And this is what your job tool looks like right here. Again, you should be able to pick up this job tool, scan the QR code, download the app, turn on your items you need turned on. It's telling you where the vehicle number is, right? The password, especially vehicle fuel PIN number, and select login. It's giving you everything you need right here. As far as the inspection goes, they're right down here. You can see what they have. And again, it says vehicle sign out form. And then this one actually has pre-use safety check, 6395. Like I told you on the other one, it doesn't have it because when we made that PowerPoint in the video, it didn't have it. We only recently changed that to update it. So I hope this has been helpful. Phil is also available. He's in the chat, can help you out as well if you need additional people trained. Please take the initiative, train everybody, right? If they don't want to serve food out of the specialty vehicle, but they're capable of driving it. And I'm going to give you the perfect example. On a level 1 activation, okay? Level 1 activation. That's a dock level 1 activation. When national headquarters goes to a level 1, the training requirements are waived to drive a vehicle from the chapter to a DRO. And if you have 2 shelter workers going to that DRO and you don't come up with drivers, we're going to call you and tell you, put these 2 shelter workers in there. We're going to save the airfare to send them, and they can drive that vehicle there. They'll watch a 30-minute video and they're out the door. Let me ask you real quick, how does that make you feel your vehicle's going to be taken care of if they have no training but a 30-minute video? offer the training to everybody that wants to drive it. Okay? Get them trained. Just say, don't have to do the feeding gap. We know you're not going to do feeding. We just want to teach you how to drive this. Maybe you drive it to a funds development event. Maybe you're going to drive it to a DR, but at least you have some knowledge that they were trained right on how to drive that vehicle. Okay? And I'm saying this, I'm pleading to you to please do that. It's going to help your region with your utilization rate. And when we have to move those vehicles, we are not kidding. We're going to take anybody driving them, all right? Because we're not going to spend $4,000 to send a tow truck out there to pick up that vehicle when you have two shelter workers going to that DR. We're going to stick them in that vehicle. Here's the video. See you later, right? I mean, obviously they got to be willing to drive it, but who's going to say, no, I won't drive it? Yeah, they're going to say they'll drive it and they're going to go and they're going to get there. They're going to drop it off at the transportation desk and they're going to go work in their shelter. And then on the DR, they're going to have somebody trained to drive that vehicle, right? The waiver is to get it to the DRO. That's the whole point of the waiver, right? They still got to be trained to drive it on a DRO because they can't serve food if they're not. All right, so let's be smart about this and really spread the word. If everybody on here tells 2, 3 people about this process and says, hey, find somebody that's not trained and train them. If everybody found one person in your region that's not trained and trained them, you just doubled how many people you have, right? And there's more chance the vehicle is going to get utilized and you're going to be able to keep them in your region. So I hope this has been a good presentation. Thank you for having us. And we just want you to know that our team does care and we're here for you. Please reach out anytime.
Thank you, John.
You're
Is
welcome.
does anybody have any questions before we sign off here? And I don't think this is automatically recording your time, so everybody be sure and put your time in volunteer.